We talk about humanity. We talk about good people. We talk about manners. There is a whole half of this population that skipped that day. They didn't go to school that day, and somehow they got a trophy anyway. And those are honestly the people we can do without. And to be perfectly honest, are the people that we should do without.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Oh, what is up, everybody? Happy Thursday to you. Oh, man. How is everybody doing? How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing all right? All right. All right, all right, all right. I'm trying something new here today. Every day it's like trying something new. Don't know what I'm doing. I think I'd figured this out by now, but I won't. I have an extra camera today. I know. Now, I know a lot of people, probably right now, myself included, are thinking like, hey man, that top 20 of yours, barely a one camera shoot. Am I right? Yeah. But in my ongoing efforts to not look like a complete bag of crap, I am going to try yet another angle. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, it's just something that was here. And I was like, oh, I wonder why I don't do that. And then I tried to get it to work, and I was like, oh, that's why I don't do that. Yeah, that's why I don't do things like that, ladies and gentlemen. But with any luck, 2 weeks from today, roughly a couple of hours ago, we will see our very first two-camera shoot of the top 20, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah! Technology, am I right? Nah, not right. Honestly, I do keep trying to make the top 20 better, but the reality is you just can't change what's, you know that expression, garbage in, garbage out? That's kind of like what's happening like right now. Yes, it is an aerial view. So I have my standard view, which will be like right here. This is from my iPhone, and that just is how everybody else in most of America takes video. And then I actually have my Logitech camera that I use for Zoom calls and meetings, and I have it all the way up there. It used to be down here, but now it's up there. Because it used to be like right next to it, but I tried putting it up there. And now it's up there, so I got camera 1, and I got camera 2, and still all this. It's still happening, and that's unfortunate. I actually just hopped up on Strangerhood TV, which you should do more often than I did this week, to check out what was going on. The new release of the top 20 is out. It's the one where I'm complaining about, I think we ended up calling her Susan, but it's that Bryce, Stephanie person, the one that basically justifies their existence at work by finding critical stuff with your stuff at work. And this is still ongoing. I mean, like, it is just absolutely constant how often it happens, not only to me in my job, but like it's hard to undercut my job because like I actually have definitive results, like products, like, hey man, how are we doing on that thing? Oh, that thing that you're using right now, like I guess pretty good, like that kind of stuff. Like I don't like when people do that, but apparently I found out in the chat that everybody's got one of those at their job, and they really don't like those people. So that was a learning thing for me, and I didn't even need Andy Sexton to do it. In other Strangerhood TV news, the Bacon is My podcast has another episode up every Monday. You can find that out. I believe this is the I don't remember her name. She's a medium, right? I did not get a chance to watch it yet. I actually am going to watch this one because I do like that kind of stuff. And not only do I enjoy, like, you know, the supernatural and the paranormal and stuff like that, I am literally watching to see what kind of questions they throw at her. Because half of me is thinking that Jimmy's going to be like, I'm thinking of a number right now. Like, what is it? Like, I don't know if it works that way or... My great-grandfather. Where's the gold, everybody? Where's the gold? That's what we need to find. That's what we need to do. So if you have not checked that out, do check that out. I cannot personally vouch for how good of an episode it is because I have not watched it yet, but it is on my to-do list. Probably tomorrow I'll have a little downtime and I want to do that, so it'll be cool. But definitely check that out. I did not check out the new Cruicide. Well, I'm sure there's a new one of those, but you can check out all things Annie wherever Annie happens to be. And that's kind of it, I guess, for Stranger Hood TV news. I don't think anything's out. I don't know that I haven't seen anything else released. I usually get notified. So, oh, wait, I can actually just go right to the page if I wanted to. Let's see, Stranger Hood TV. See how easy that was? I'm already at Stranger Hood TV. Yep, no release today. The top 20. Bacon's My Podcast presents What's Your Bacon? That's from last night, probably. And then, Patty Negri, that's her name. Yeah, check that out. And, pretty much all I'm seeing for uploads recently is the top 20 and the BIP stuff. And then Drum Tour with Chris Waterbury from a couple weeks ago. Check that out. Okay, that's enough of that. I've got a 2-camera shoot going on. I probably shouldn't be scratching my lower back because now it's in, visual stereo, and nobody needs that action. So, in Quick Rebel 9 news, we've got a new song in the works. It's actually out for mastering. And it's a new release for us, rather. Let me just put it that way. And no, I'm not telling anybody what it is until we release it. So you guys will just have to wait and see and be completely excited, like I am, as you can tell. So I'm drinking a very rare shot of very light espresso this morning. Cool coffee, Deej. Where'd you get it? Well, I made it myself because I overslept today by a lot, but I underslept in the middle of the night. I don't know if anybody else does this, where you get up around 5 o'clock for no reason and just can't go back to sleep. I know, it's fun. It's kind of like a new game I'm trying to do, just how quickly I can go insane. But I took extra sleep stuff around 5 to just totally force myself to go back to sleep, which I know is a gamble for sure because it could either not work at all, or it can work and can work so well that it just knocks you out and you oversleep a lot, and that's what happened to me. So if I seem a little groggy at all, it's because I am. But I am going to do my best. I'm going to try and pull this through just for you guys. I want to address 2 things today in the box, in the top 20 specifically. One is I want everybody here to know 2 things. I have nothing but gratitude for everybody in the chat, everybody that shows up here every week, everybody that listens to the top 20 on Stranger TV, and everybody listens to the Hard Rock Lunchbox replay wherever you hear your podcasts. So thank you for that. And the other thing I want you to know is I read all of the comments from last week. Now, if somebody other than me were reading those comments, I think they would think that you don't like the show. I gotta tell you, man, I'm hoping there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff going on because some of those comments are really funny. If they're all filled with malice, then we need to find everybody another show because that sounds like you guys had an awful time. I do want to say, for the record, I absolutely paid more attention to the chat last week than I have on previous in-studio visits, and that is demonstrably and factually true. I actually listened to it and I referenced the chat a couple times. I read a couple of comments. The problem is, it's 20 minutes of being left alone and you guys are like Flava Flav from Public Enemy and just totally just talking. I can't even catch up. I can't even catch up. But I did try, so I want to try and meet everybody in the middle there, as it were, and maybe just agree to disagree. I don't know what to say. I can't not ignore the chat some when I'm interviewing a guest because I want to keep the interview interesting. And I will tell you, just on a personal note, and I know that I feel in my heart that everyone really does appreciate those kinds of interviews, because where the hell else are you going to get those kinds of interviews? I had spoken or heard from Robbie from Va Va Voom and a couple of other people in bands who actually appreciated the kind of like the insight into like songwriting and bands, like the true core of why this show started as a show, like things that like we do, things that we've learned along the way, and we kind of explain it to you as we go, like why we do things, and hopefully for anybody that's, you know, an up-and-coming songwriter or even a veteran songwriter, like maybe some of those things are important to you, and they certainly are interesting to me. Like certainly when I'm interviewing anybody like of Jimmy's caliber, like it's important for me. Like I'm asking questions that I also want to know, like as a songwriter and stuff like that, and it's fun and it's formative to me, and I really do hope that it is. I know that sometimes it seems more like maybe it's too like inside baseball or just not, you know, interesting to like, you know, the regular person, but or non-musicians I should say. But I always thought that it was kind of interesting to sort of peek behind that curtain, which is why I do it. And yeah, Jimmy's one of my best friends. I'll definitely hang out with him for 2 hours and talk about stuff, but we don't get the opportunity to do that all that often, so we do it here, you know, on a regular basis on the Hard Rock Lunchbox. I also want to point out that the chat was absolutely correct, that it was going to be about an hour and 56 minutes of talking, and then we would get to the actual song Ashes. I did get it in before the end of my show. I mean, granted, I ran over, but like, yeah, oh well. I think we also found some other really good songs called Ashes, and we might be going through some of those today, so that'll be fun. I do have the Ashes playlists available on Spotify if anyone is so inclined. I can send you out the link. Oh, good. I'm glad to see that it's still carrying over. The chat is still annoyed. All right, well, then I guess I've done a good job, and it's time to move on to this week's Top 20. So I didn't get to talk about this last week, mainly because I was talking to Jimmy about all things Ashes, which is doing really well, by the way. You should go listen to that again, because you're going to listen to it later anyway. So maybe you don't have to listen to it like right now, but like you'll hear it later. I'm just saying, I know a guy, and you'll probably hear it for this week's Weekly Craving of the Week. I mean, maybe. I don't know for sure. But, excuse me, I had something happen on a soccer field. Not last week, because it was a Memorial Day weekend, and we took the weekend off. The weekend before. And I thought it was noteworthy because I think it speaks kind of volumes to where we're at as a culture. And since that, it was almost 2 weeks ago now. And since that, like maybe if you've been following any local news, like there's a lot of talk and concern about like basically just how rude spectators are. Like during the basketball playoffs, like it's reached, like the classic thing was always the rivalries, right? Like New York and Philly and Boston and stuff like that. Those were like real like baseball rivalries. And, I know that I've even experienced it in my band. Like, my drummer is a huge Mets fan. Like, I don't know why Noodle is such a Mets fan, but he is. And, like, you know, it's sad in a way. And, you know, we kind of, like, try and boost up his spirits. But we used to play in Philly all the time. And, you know, several times, like, the Mets would be playing the Phillies while we were playing a show, like, at the Dobbs or whatever. And, I remember, like, they were losing really badly when the Mets were losing really badly one time, and we were, like, going on stage at the Dobbs, and my drummer was all bent out. I'm like, you can't do that here, man. You cannot do that here. Even if I wanted to defend you, I'd have to be, there's so many more of them than there are of us. I have to be like, yeah, man, let's get them. Go Phillies. Like... Oh, man, because honestly, if my drummer thinks I'm getting my ass kicked over a Philadelphia Phillies versus New York Mets beef, that dude is sorely mistaken. Yes, N-O-O-D-L-E. My noodle has a first name. It's N-O-O-D-L-E. He also has a second name that's too hard to spell for me. I made it rhyme! And I hit the microphone. I'm taking the day off. So classic sports rivalries. Understand, like we hate Philadelphia for whatever reason. And excuse me. They said that the pollen should stop soon, but I'll believe it when I say it. So that's not unusual, right? Like, people have been dealing with that for years. And even like in the soccer team, even with the girls when they were even younger, we had towns that we didn't like. And it was usually for various reasons. And whenever I would bring in a new player, I would kind of always go through the list of towns we don't like. As a rule, the South Huntington Hurricanes do not like Kings Park. We do not like Lindenhurst. We will tolerate Cold Spring Harbor. But now we officially don't like Lynbrook, which is funny because I have never liked Lynbrook. In fact, most of the 5 towns, like, they can just suck a bag of them for all I care. I don't like a lot of the 5 towns. I don't like a lot of the people in them, and except if you're from there. Like, if you're from there and you're listening, like, more power to you. But, like, just as a general statement, I have found a lot of problems in the 5 towns area and surrounding towns. Like, I tend to have a little problem with sports teams on the South Shore. There's like a class gradient, not caste system like India, but there's a certain amount of decorum that I think exists north of, let's say, Route 24. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a competition thing. I don't actually know if it's a class thing. I have found that, like, when my son played soccer, we had major problems with, like, Massapequa and Oceanside. Like, we had a problem with Massapequa to the point where the cops arrested one of the Massapequa players after the game because he physically assaulted one of the other players on our team. And we played in Oceanside one time, and we actually left the game in the middle of the game because the parents in Oceanside were just such animals that we were actually worried about the safety of our kids. Right? Like, that shouldn't happen in a teenage sports game, but it does. And it certainly happens with schools, but it makes its way into like, regular sports. And one of the things, like, I knew was coming, I know that players, as they get older, tend to lip off a little bit. And I've also known that girls, statistically speaking, are nastier. They just are. They play dirty. They really are mean and nasty on the field. And I really got my first glimpse of just how pathetically nasty it is, and they can be, because we were playing Lynbrook team, and for the first time ever, I actually addressed it with the opposing team, because they were talking so much smack about our team. Now, we are a 6th place team. We are not supposed to be in the division we are. The only reason we're in that division is because they pushed us up to fill all the empty spaces, because a lot of the premier teams left to go be in different leagues or NPL, other stuff, just more elite soccer, right? So, and I've said this before, and I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but where the Hurricanes stand is, we decided last year, not last season, but last year, that this is going to be more casual. We did not want to throw everything at just soccer. A lot of my players want to play basketball. I have a couple players on the varsity badminton team, which I didn't even know was a thing, and I think is awesome. A lot of my players play lacrosse. A lot of them play volleyball. They all play other things. I probably have 3 or maybe 4 dedicated soccer players. And even them, like, one of them's my kid. And my kid would rather sleep on the couch than play soccer. I mean, it's fine. It's just what they want to do. So they aren't the kids that are constantly outside kicking a soccer ball, juggling a soccer ball, doing all that other stuff. And we as a team, like, with nobody else, it was completely unanimous. And we as a team decided that that's the way we want to do. That's the way we want to do it. So we dropped down to 1 practice a week, and we just went all chill. And we ended up winning the division we were in by doing less. Like, go figure. So we do all that. So we're not supposed to be in this division. We're in last place because we're playing against teams that practice 3 times a week. We're playing against clubs like New Hyde Park and Lynbrook that have an A team, a B team, and a C team. And so they can always pull other players up, but they have the best, 15 players of 45 to 50 players. Like, I have everybody in South Huntington that's eligible, and a third of my team is a year younger anyway because we don't have a team below them. I mean, I'm not making excuses. I'm saying the makeup of our team is like, yeah, we're not aiming for the middle. We're aiming to be as good as we can be, but we also know our role and know the lane we should be in. So we shouldn't be in this. I fought the league on it. I appealed it. They turned me down. They were huge dicks about it. In my opinion, and I told them, I thought they were going to be ruining this season for a bunch of teenage girls for absolutely no reason other than they were being lazy. So I got in trouble for that, but they're totally worth it. So here's the thing. So we're playing against this team. This was the day it was 90 degrees. So 90 degrees in the hot sun. We drive all the way out to Lynbrook, which honestly should be punishment enough to anybody. And so we go out there. It's hot enough that the referees ask if we want to just shorten the game a little bit by 5 minutes a half. And I'm like, absolutely. We have 2 subs, one of which is suffering from she had gotten the vaccine the day before, and she's just like kind of struggling a little bit. She's just sore. She's okay. Not really side effects, but she's sore. But she comes out anyway. So I have 2 subs, including that one. 90-degree weather, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in the crap-ass 5 towns. And we're like, yeah, man, 35 minutes. And I even said, I'm like, we haven't won a game all season. We've tied twice. We haven't won a game all season. I don't think we're in danger of winning today. So why don't we just get this off? The opposing coach says no. Wants to play the full 40 minutes game. He's got 4 subs. And then we split up on sides of the field, and he gives us a side of the field with no shade at all. We're standing completely in the sun. His team is completely in the shade with 4 subs. Like, it's completely a classless move anyway. Like, I'm not saying like he should have been like, here, use my shade. Like, I get it. But also understand that you're asking so much from these girls. Like, it's the first hot day. Like, they don't feel well. We've already acquiesced and said that we're, let's play the shorter game. Half of my team wanted to forfeit because it was ruining their Sunday, and they were right. When you know you're going to lose a game, you still have to go out and play it anyway. Like, it's, yeah. So they're all being dicks about it. But so we're playing this game. We're actually beating them 2-0 at the half. Like, we play a really good game, but now we're tired, and the heat's starting to catch up to us. And so the other team starts winning. And it's fine. Like, it's like 3-2 at this point, and two of their defenders are very close to where our team is sitting. And they are just talking such smack about, like, how we're not good, and don't worry, like, she's going to kick it, it's not going to go anywhere. Like, just really lipping off. This 14-year-old, like, future C of America is, like, lipping it off, and I had enough. I'm like, you guys talk an awful lot of smack for a 4th-place team. And she's, like, totally caught off guard, and she should have been, because I was right, and obviously she hadn't heard an intelligent thing in her entire life, nor uttered one. And she's like, well, who's winning now? I'm like, first of all, we kicked your ass in the first 40 minutes of this game. Second of all, we're a 6th-place team, and you guys barely pulled this out, and we're not talking smack. And I said, we'll see what happens next week when Elwood grinds you into the dirt. And she just walked away, and I just, I was like, yeah, man, and that's how you take on a 14-year-old girl. Now, the problem is not that some player is saying that, right? Like, that's, I want my kids to say that stuff back to them. But, like, the reality is, like, yeah, we are losing this game. This is how it is. And they don't necessarily understand all the politics of it. They're out on a Sunday wasting their time losing this game. But they're doing it because I've asked them to. And for that, like, I am eternally grateful to this team. But the reality is, like, you don't produce a kid like that without some crap bag of a parent trickling down that sort of bad sportsmanship, bad attitude. And if you told me that defender's mom or dad is one of the classless pieces of crap that's, like, spitting on other basketball players, like, I wouldn't even be surprised at all. I'd be like, oh, they're from Lynbrook? Like, there's like, no surprise whatsoever. And I think the point I'm trying to make here is, like, the products that you as parents are putting out into the world are even somehow worse than you are. Because if your parents raised you like that, you should have gotten your ass kicked a lot for your attitude. And since we're not allowed to kick kids' asses anymore because every kid is special, and I'm absolutely air quoting special, then they're never going to learn their lesson. Because when I went to school, when a kid like that lipped off, he got a beating after school or at lunch. I mean, I've said it for years. You have some kid just totally effing around while everybody else is waiting to go to recess, and that teacher comes in and they make that death knell statement. And they're like, all right, because of Tommy and all of his crap that he's doing today, we're not going to have recess. The entire class is like, okay, Tommy, we're going to see you after school. And we beat the ever-loving crap out of him because that's what you did back then. unfortunately, all this bad attitude and bad blood and bad people and bad humans is going unchecked because you're not allowed to do that anymore. So what's happening is these slow-mo Cro-Magnon type stupid-ass people that just believe like every conspiracy theory they see or hear or something, anybody that couldn't get above a C+ or higher on a social studies report in high school is now raising kids that are even worse than they are. Because these kids are like Facebook addicted, totally social media, like TikTok addicted, and they're just honoring and just totally like idolizing bad behavior, and they're acting out on it. These girls are 14 years old. They're already worthless humans. Like if we could go back in a greater age in China and go ahead and drown these girls in a river tied to a rock, like I'd be all for it. And it's awful that I think that. But what's even more awful is that I'm right. We should absolutely be doing that because we have 8 billion people on the planet. It's understandable that not everybody's going to be somebody we want to bring along. Not everybody's somebody of the caliber or the class that we want around. When we talk about humanity, we talk about good people, we talk about manners. There is a whole half of this population that skipped that day. They didn't go to school that day, and somehow they got a trophy anyway. And those are honestly the people we can do without. And to be perfectly honest, are the people that we should do without. So that's what I'm advocating. Everybody that doesn't have manners, people that can't seem to put a shopping cart back, hold the door for an old person, or even just say, have a nice day, or thank you, or you're welcome. Those basic things, or even wash their hands after they take a dump, before they make a sandwich. We need a sign for that. Really, it's the same dumb people that we could really do without. So I'm not asking you to handle this yourself, but I am asking the box to just sort of understand that these people exist, and I want you to dismiss them and look down your nose at them because they are not worthy of anything other than that. And that's what I had to say on today's Top 26 of the Hard Rock Lunchbox. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm going to reward you right now with my summertime jam from Day to Remember. Everybody sing along. It's F-U Money. All right.